Ladies and gentlemen, tonight it is your boy Cool McCain. Looks like I'm gonna be riding solo dolo, but it's all good. So I first want to apologize. My voice is about maybe 35%, keeping it 100. Um, those of you know, big wrestling fans. So I got the Eagles spelled the bag today, but big weekend for wrestling fans. Kind of took some of my voice, but guess what? It's all good. Things happen. Move forward. Keep it moving. So it's Wednesday night, 8:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are in the building, live and in effect. Another episode, Eagles Elite Podcast. So a lot of opinions tonight. I might throw in some extra things since it's just your boy. But guess what? Without me being able to talk like I want to talk and do all that, hey, we're still going to be here for a good time because that's what we do. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get this party started. You know what we got to have first, because without that, it just don't work right. So, intro coming. Get me a little bit more hypeness, and then we're going to get into things for the evening. Let's go.
The kick is away, and the kick is, it's good! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin!
So, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, man, we back in the building. Man, this has been an interesting week. Some press conferences, but the one that I want to focus on is actually a guy that is no longer part of the team, but was, a very big part of the team, and that's going to be Fletcher Cox. So, Fletcher Cox, man, had his retirement press conference. They also showed some footage of him behind the scenes, kind of talking to staff and different things. I thought he did a great job with his press conference. He kept it short and sweet. He opened it up for questions. He kind of went back and talked about, his brother that passed away, the fact that him and Derek Barnett had a big connection because Derek Barnett also had a brother, who passed away. And he was able to be there and kind of support Derek Barnett as he went through that process because it's something he had been through. We look at these guys and we say, hey, these are athletes, these guys, is that guy. But what we need to remember is these are people too, just like us, right? So loss affects them, injuries, other people getting hurt, all kind of things happening. This affects these individuals, right? So when you see those things happen, when you see the connections that people are able to make with other teammates and how he can say, yeah, this is my buddy, this is my guy, I love this dude. And that's because they have something, that they can build together with. But before we go any further, I guess your boy will not be solo. Diva, what up?
What's going on? My bad for the tardiness.
It's all good. Just want to, as I was letting everybody know, I've got one octave tonight. I still don't have my voice back from WrestleMania and Raw. So this is all I got. So yeah, everything will be said in this voice tonight. Like whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad, whether I'm angry. This is all you get tonight. Hey, I'm here. I got a piece of the vocal cords working, but that's like 30%. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. I was just kind of discussing Fletcher Cox in his retirement press conference and how he had a big connection with Derek Barnett and how I like that because it showed that like it's more than football for these guys, right? Like he was talking about Trent Cole, different guys that helped him when he was a young guy in the league on the team and how he was trying to do the same thing for some other players. So it was really it was really interesting just to see a guy been there for 12 years. You talked about, I was saying before you got on, he's talking about his brother passed, and that's how him and Derek Barnett are so tight. Different relationships he has with different people. How he wants to still be a mentor for the young guys on the team, even though he won't be there theoretically on the sidelines, but still, somebody they can call if they need help, they need somebody to talk to. And I love that we have people in this organization who, number one, stay here.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, he also did the same thing. He also talked about how difficult it is to play in Philly, but how you get a lot of love at times too. It's just, hey, this is a town that wants success. If you're not giving it to us, we're a little mad. That's what it is.
It's what it is.
If you can't handle it, it may not be the right place for you.
No, you gotta have tough skin to play in Philly, for real.
Yeah.
Like real
guys
tough skin.
like Steve Nelson couldn't make it. And that's why Darius Slay be on the verge of not making it. You know what I'm saying? And some of these other cats that may be one and done, that may be why. And it's okay. I get it. Sometimes you gotta be strong and have some testicular fortitude, and everybody don't have that. So, you don't have it, it's not the city for you. So, Diva, any thoughts that you have on Cox's retirement press conference? Anything about his career? Any of that good stuff?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch the press conference. I barely watched Kelsey's. But yeah, I mean, Cox has always been, he, like he said, he came in around Trent Cole, which was, that real tough area where we actually hit people. Like it wasn't let me try to wrap you up. We was actually hitting and sticking, you know what I mean? So he actually came up behind some real OGs in Philly when it comes to the defense. And I mean, I'm honored that he was the Eagle for 12 years. I'm honored that, the younger guy to have a good vet, to show them the ropes, especially in Philly, because as you said, it's not easy to play in Philly, because we expect so much from our team and our players. But just being able to have a vet like Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey really can pave the way for these younger cats that has to step up now that they're gone. And I hope that they really appreciate it. But yeah, Cox is forever Eagle, just like Brian Dawkins and Malcolm Jenkins are forever Eagles. And we appreciate them.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's very important. I don't think people understand the importance of having guys who stick around a team.
Right.
And it shows that there's an organization in place that has some stability. Because you can pass off those leadership roles down the line. He talked about Brandon Graham. Obviously, you mentioned Jason Kelsey as another guy that was there with him pretty much their whole career. So these are the type of players that you want. You don't always have those guys because some guys is like, hey, I'm going for the money. I'm going for the accolades. If you can't get them for me here, I don't feel like you can. I'm out. Or if somebody else offering me more money, I'm taking the money. And I can't knock anyone for that either. But that's why it's impressive. And it should be celebrated when guys don't go that route, because that is the route that most guys go. And we're a little spoiled in Philadelphia because we had a lot of people that kind of have went that route of I'm going to stay, I'm going to be an Eagle. A lot of teams don't have that. So real talk is something to, really appreciate. So we got Unc in the building. What up,
Unc? Early tonight.
Yeah, Unc, I got one voice right now, man. So this is all I got, man. Next week, hopefully the vocal cords will be healed. I went to Raw and WrestleMania and it's wild. So I'm gonna just say that. But so yeah, we could talk a lot about Fletcher Cox. He's gonna be another guy I believe that's gonna be around a team, right? Because when you have these guys that this is all they know, they may not be in a specific role, but they'll be there. And that's what you want to have. You want to have some cats that's going to be around, that's going to help this organization grow and develop. And I definitely believe that Fletcher Cox is going to be one of those guys to help on the defensive end. Then we got Scrub in the building. What up, Scrub?
What up, Scrub?
And we appreciate you tuning in as well. So
appreciate y'all tapping in with us.
Absolutely. So we're gonna swing it back the other way real quick. So we got some rumors and news, right? That we're gonna hop on and talk about here for a minute. Said he was screaming in the living room. I was there, man. And I gotta tell you, when you get in the environment, you know what I'm saying? Everybody got their belts. I'm not a big social drinker or anything like that, But there's a lot of rowdy guys, and then you get into it, you get excited. We was all sweaty and tired, probably like halfway through, and then Raw was even worse. But hey, the energy, we kept the energy up. It was wild. It's one of those experiences. If you're a wrestling fan and you just want to experience it, I would definitely recommend it. You know what I'm saying? It's great, and of course, it was in Philly, so I mean, it was a win-win. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, you get the chance to go to Philly. You know what I'm saying? The link did have my first foray into the Wells Fargo Center. You know, I'm not a basketball Philadelphia fan, but it was cool arena. It was a little tight, but they accommodated a lot of people in there for Monday Night Raw too. So it was a good experience overall. Got some cheese steaks, you know what I'm saying? All the goodness, the Philly goodness. Got a pretzel, you know what I'm saying? Got some ice, flavored ice and all that. So, you know, you got to go to, there's certain things you got to get if you go to Philly. And I know a lot of people are from Philly or been to Philly, so y'all feel me. You got to get the frozen ice, you got to get a pretzel, and you got to get a cheesesteak. That's like Philly staples. And there are other things are too, but those are like Philly staples. So, you know, had to get the Philly staples. Got to do that.
Right.
But so one of the big rumors that we have going on right now, of course, is our man Smitty might be getting ready to get paid. Reports are there are ongoing talks, and there's optimism about getting a deal done pretty quickly.
I
Diva, what do
mean,
you think about that?
I think we should go ahead and get Smitty out the way. That way, when it comes next year, you know what I'm saying? We already got him out the way, and we ain't got to worry about paying him. I mean, you got the money. Why not pay the man? I mean, he deserved it. We need Smitty. Like Smitty better not go nowhere. We need Smitty and AJ to stay for the rest of their lives. Yeah,
She said
pay
the
the
rest of
man.
their lives.
Rest of their lives, y'all ain't
That's a,
going nowhere.
that's a
Y'all on
strong
death
statement.
row.
That's a
This
strong
is
statement.
Eagles death row.
Wow.
Yeah,
Eagles death row.
Eagles death row. Y'all
I'm
ain't
gonna
going
roll with
nowhere.
it because at this point, you got it. I ain't even. I'm gonna roll with it. So, a couple of special rumors about some guys that we should target in trades, right? So
Mhm.
we should target from some of the rumors and news is out there, and we know a lot of this is haberdashery and tomfoolery, but some of it could be true. Guys that Philadelphia should be considering in draft trade are guys like Patrick Surtain, Marcus Epps, and Cesar Ruiz. These are all guys that would instantly make an impact if they were on the roster. Then you talk about, well, if you're talking about bringing guys in, who's leaving? So pieces that are being brought up a lot that should be traded, and this is going to make Diva probably a little irked, but not completely upset. And she's going to be irked because the guy that she wants is not on this list, but he could end up as part of a package. So the two names that have been out there that we're talking about in trades to gain these players that should be part of deals are Josh Sweat and Darius Slay. So, Diva, your thoughts on bringing in either Pat Surtain, Marcus Epps, Cesar Ruiz, or more than one of those guys, and trading guys like Josh Sweat and Darius Slay? How do you feel? Do you feel that would make the team better? Do you feel that it's just creating cap issues, or how do you feel about making some of these moves?
I mean, I wouldn't mind Patrick Surtain or Marcus Epps. I mean, you know me. Yeah, Darius Slay. Yeah, I mean, I love you, Darius, but we need somebody that's gonna hit, man. And Darius is getting old. He's starting to get injury prone a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, he played good last year. He had good play, but I want a hard hitter. I mean, I'm sorry. Like I want a hard hitter. Josh Sweat. I know he fell off a lot last year, and it could have been many reasons. It probably could have been because of just the way the defense was running and how we switched up defensive coaches. But yeah, I'm good with that package. I mean, hey, I already let Reddit go. I'm good with that package.
So Cesar Ruiz, for those of y'all who might not know, He's a guard for the New Orleans Saints. He has played some at center as well. So a little versatility. He's only 24. So he's a guy that could be available via trade. Not sure if New Orleans would trade this player just because of, how things have been between those two teams as far as our trades. But he is a guy that may be on the market. And I could see the Eagles at least saying, well, let's bring in another guy that can play multiple positions just in case, you have injuries or just having depth. So, he's a guy that I could see us targeting just because of the versatility piece. We've been all about versatility except for last year when we had Silly Sirianni in charge of a lot of decision making. That was a silly organizational thing to have that happen. But it does happen. It does happen. There's not much you can do when it does happen. And just to give y'all a little bit more clarity on cap hits for these players. And these are things that could be spread out because what can happen is you trade for a guy, his old team can pay part of the salary cap hit for this year. They could not pay any at all. But, just to give an idea. So Pat Surtain, his current cap hit is $6,669,952. Obviously still his rookie contract, but that's not a bad hit to take from a guy that's probably one of the top 5, if not 3, cornerbacks in the league. Marcus Epps, his current cap is $7,292,500. So still reasonable. It wouldn't be too much. I think it would be out of the realm of Justin Simmons. It'd be lower than that, than what you would have to pay Justin Simmons. But with Justin Simmons, you don't have to give up any pieces because it's a free agent. So it's kind of catch 22 on that one. And then Cesar Ruiz is just $4,450,000. So I think these are all 3 guys that salary cap wise could definitely fit in Philly without much of a problem. I don't think that they may have the firepower that Denver would be looking for to make that move. Cesar Ruiz is probably a reasonable choice that we could possibly get. But, it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things. We'll see if anything actually plays out from these theories and these thoughts or anything like that. But it's always good to kind of see what the pulse is saying, what our people are saying. And then
you can always switch out Slay for Ballberry. If we cut him after June, the cap hit come down. So
yeah, but the thing is, would anybody even give us anything for Bradbury? That's the question.
They might.
Anything's possible. All it takes is one team to believe. So Unc says Smitty feeling like the OJs for the love of money. People would kill their own brother. I feel you. I will sing a little bit of it. I will sing a little bit of it, but can't do it.
I don't want OBJ. Boy's broke down. Boy been broke down since like his 3rd year with the Giants. Zeke, we need a power back, but I don't know. But I definitely don't want OBJ. He can stay wherever he at. Miami, if they want him, they can have him.
So Unc says, I'm on the mindset to bring in OBJ to be wide receiver 3 and Ezekiel Elliott to be running back 2. If for nothing else, just to piss off the Giants and Cowboys, even if that's the only reason. I don't necessarily have a problem with your reasoning for bringing them in, right? I would have to agree with Diva. I'd rather either draft or maybe get somebody else. I think especially with OBJ. Zeke, I think he resigns himself to the fact that he's like a number 2 now. So if it was a low cost deal, it may be feasible at least because based on the history of our starting running back, we're going to need a guy that can come in and run the ball as a number 1 back, at least for a couple of games, possibly. We need to have someone to do that. So I would definitely say I would at least agree with that on that side. But OBJ, see, he wants to be targeted a lot. And you're not going to come on this team and get targeted a lot. So I would have to probably pass on him. But I do respect the petty logic of why you want to make that move. I'm always good with that. And then Unc says, I'm super petty. And then he says, and I would say this in my Captain Obvious-esque voice, but again, I don't have it. So I just gotta give it to you regular. Stay petty so you don't have to get petty. And that is fair. If you stay petty, you don't have to get petty. Old man Mob in the building. What up, old man? For
What
those of
up,
y'all
old
just
man?
coming in, this is all I got for y'all tonight. No laughter, no loud voices, no imitations, no voice fluctuations. We got one voice. This is what's left after WrestleMania and Hot Tea for 2 days. All right. And Raw. All right. And we good, old man. We good. Glad you tuning in. And old man says, you already know, hit the like button and share.
You know it.
Then Scrub says, you don't want OBJ. He's like a number 4 at this point.
I mean,
I
right.
would still argue that he's better than Don't Gainwell. So he would technically, I think, be an upgrade. And the other good part about having him, and I'm not trying to sell the team, I'm just saying if something happens and he ends up there, is he does know Kellen Moore. They've worked together before. He knows Kellen Moore's system. So he could be an asset from that piece as well. I'm not saying I
you talking
want
about
him.
Zeke?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not saying I want him, but I'm saying at least there would be some good that may come out of if we were to grab him. And that just goes in the screw up here. He says Zeke wouldn't be a bad pickup. Don't know how he fits with the Eagles. Well, we got Kellen Moore now, Scrub. So, that's his buddy from Dallas. I'm gonna just leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there.
Right. What up, Philly?
What up, Philly? I didn't get a chance to link up with Philly this time in Philly, but we'll be back. Be back up there definitely. It's like second home, so definitely be back up there. So a couple of the things in regards to the Eagles. We got trade rumors, targets, all those things. But not necessarily news, but something I want to take a quick second to talk about. It's a lot of change on this team for this year, right? Already. And we haven't even gotten to the point of, the draft and just a couple of things with free agency. But there's another rumor that's kind of been thrown out there, and people have tried to run with this rumor. This would be very wild, because it's been the possibility has been given of us trading for Micah Parsons. So I would say no, not because he's not a talent, but because we just got rid of a guy that basically plays the way Micah Parsons plays. Right? Micah Parsons can cover a little bit. I'm not saying man can't cover. I mean, I would say Hassan Reddick can cover some. Like, he's not completely just up to the ability to cover, but just not a big cover guy. So we've got all these new pieces, that we're bringing in. So my question, Dave, is simply this: with all these new pieces that we have, do you feel like we're going to have the same issue we had 2 years ago? Remember, because we were talking about preseason, first game or two of the regular season, how we didn't have a lot of the team hadn't gelled yet. The defense hasn't gelled. And then once they gelled, it was great. But do you feel like this is going to be a team that may need to be carried by the offense first couple of games of the season, just because we're not going to be sure what we're going to get from the defense until they have a chance to gel? And then we know for the preseason, these guys play like one series, and that's about it. So do you think we'll have that issue, or do you think maybe we'll get some guys in who may know the system so they'll be able to kind of help everybody else get up to par from Vic Fangio's side?
I think that the offense is probably going to have to carry him the first few games because, we have a lot of new pieces. We have a whole defensive scheme. You actually have the guy that, we've been mimicking his schemes. You actually have the true product there. And then you have all the new pieces. You have vets that are gone. So I think that it's going to take maybe 1 or 2 games for them to gel together. So I think that the offense will. The question is, how is the offense going to look? Are they going to be able to carry the defense for the first few games? I know Silly Sirianni talking about he got a plan. Listen, I don't want to hear none of your plans. I don't even want to hear you talk at all, Nick. I want to hear Kellen Moore be like, well, I got plans to keep players happy. I don't want to hear anything that Nick has to say. Nick, go sit down somewhere. When I first read it, I said, oh, here we go. Here we go. I don't want to hear Nick at all. But the thing is, we have on both ends. So now you have a new offensive coordinator, then you have a defensive coach. So who gonna jail first? You know what I'm saying? Really, it's the battle of who gonna jail first. Because we don't know what we're gonna get from the offense either. Because we got new players on there. We got a few new positions filled. We got a new offensive coordinator. So it's really just gonna be a wait and see of who gonna come out first. Really swinging, which yeah, you just gotta wait because I mean it's new on both ends. So everybody gotta get used to everybody.
That's a good point, but I feel like the offense, worst case, if they got to kind of revert to the past game and kind of what they were doing last year, at least Jalen should have some comfort level with AJ, Goddard, Devontae, so they may be a little bit more accustomed to kind of carrying things the first couple of weeks. But to your point, new system, if they're playing correctly and if they're using the matchups that are there. Because I think a lot of times last year we got in situations later in the season where Hurts was trying to make sure this person got the ball or that person got the ball or whatever. And it's just like, bro, all I want from Jalen Hurts, I don't care who's crying about it. All I want from him is find the open guy and give him the ball. I don't care if it's the dad blame fourth receiver, bro. If he's open, give him the ball. You know what I'm saying? If he can't make the plays when you're throwing him the ball, then sit him down and find somebody else. But you got to give him the opportunities. Just throw the ball. Don't worry about who it is, whose stats are high, who's got this many yards. Just play football, man.
I mean, I think I need. So if Kellen Moore and Jalen don't gel on the offensive play calling, that means I need for Jalen to step up and be the leader that he is. You've been on this team long enough to know what works for you and what don't. If what they calling out there this year is not fitting you, then you need to be your own coach. So then, yes, I agree. Then we need to be doing. You should be able to link up with AJ and Devontae and the people that you know, and then be able to trust Saquon out there with the ball. If you're not feeling what they calling, because it's really no excuse by now, bro. Like if you got to go back and look at film from 2 years ago to see what worked, just in case your offensive coaches ain't doing what they supposed to be doing, they ain't calling plays that fit you and your style, then you have to step up and be the leader. It's gonna be on you this year because last year you act like you couldn't lead. If they couldn't lead you, you couldn't lead the team, and I didn't like that because that's a problem to me. Is as much as I always heard about Jalen being a leader, being having a high football IQ. If you have such a high football IQ, then you know what works for you. And you know when your coaches ain't calling what works for you and the team, that means you have to take over with that IQ and do what you got to do.
True. We got a couple of comments here. So Philly says, definitely next time, yes. All right, Old Man Mob says, I'll say this, Zeke was the bright side for the Pats. He actually did better than a lot of people think. O-line was hurt. Defense knew they running. Plus, Zeke caught a lot of balls, too. And then Scrub says, I like the talent on your offense, but I don't trust the guys coaching on their side. Yes, both Sirianni and Kellen Moore. And see, that's right on with what Diva was saying, which I 100% agree with. I'll just add to that and say, right now, I want to see Jalen Hurts, Paris Campbell, you know what I'm saying? Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goddard, Grant, Super 7 concussions, Calcaterra, and all those guys like out there together playing. I want to see them making things happen.
Yeah, definitely.
And when we see that, then I think we're going to get a very solid team this year. I don't think that they're going to be the best version of themselves week one. They'll get there. And that's kind of what, we want to happen. Now, also, a couple more pieces of information, the news. So this year, the Eagles can wear the all-black uniforms again because the NFL has approved a third helmet design for every team. So we can get the Kelly Green still. We can get the black. We can get the white. And we can get the Hunter Green. So this year everyone can have 3 different helmets, 4 different uniforms, because you can use the same helmet with 2 uniforms. So that's an exciting thing for us because we don't have to go out and design anything new. We can just wear the all black. Now, I will say this with the black. If you're not going to wear the all black, don't even do it. Just wear the, you know what I'm saying? Don't wear the black pants with like the white shirt. We don't want that. We want to be dressed in all black like the Omen if you come in the black. So if you come in black, come in black. If you're going to do like black and white, just do Kelly green and gray. We'd rather see that. White on white, black on black. Maybe green and black or green and white. You know what I'm saying? But not white and black. I don't want that. I really don't want that.
No.
So we did get confirmation of the opening game, and it's not what we were led to believe. The opening game in Brazil, I got that out, will actually be the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers. There were rumors of other team, but it ends up being the Packers. Yeah, rumors of the Browns, but it's not the Browns, it's the Packers. It's been made official, so that'll be our opening game week 1. I mean, I don't know about you, Diva, but I still feel the same about that game in Brazil. I get why we did it. Like Jeffrey Lurie said in his press conference, everybody has to do one. So if you're going to have to do it once every 6 years or so, you might as well do it in a new place no one's been before. So you'll always be part of like the first game in Brazil. I get that. But why did it have to be like a Friday night? It's trash.
First of all, why did it have to be the first game? And why do you have to consider it a home game? And I get that. But dang, we was playing over there in the UK. I mean, it was at least like week 5. You know what I mean? Like week 6. Like, why does that have to be the very first game? And it's not a home game. Like, how's that a home game for anybody from Philly? Like, that's a long way to go to a game. The first game on top of that. Like, I would be mad if I'm a season ticket holder and the very first game is in Brazil, so I got to figure out I'm in Brazil for the very first game. You talking about home game? It's not home game, y'all.
And you probably still, I mean, I would assume, I'm not a season ticket holder. Obviously, we don't live in Philly, so there's no way we could be. But I would assume that even though it's being considered a home game, you probably can't take your ticket and go in there. You probably still got to buy another ticket to go play it because it's not your stadium. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
I mean, maybe
if you say a home game,
some of you have season tickets.
Oh, well, I would be mad because if you're saying it's a home game and I'm a season ticket holder, that means that should be a free ticket for me to go down there, and it should be the same thing. Then don't call it a home game. Now, I'd be mad. I'm glad I ain't a season ticket holder.
Well, you gotta remember we got the extra quote unquote home game now, and they're making everybody do this. So everybody's gonna have to 1 year within like 6 years, everyone's gonna have to play at least one game overseas or in another country because it's part of like the. So I guess so. Either way, it was gonna be a home game that's not really a home game. And I don't see you going to Brazil and saying, hey, I've got season tickets in Philadelphia, and them saying, oh, okay, you could just use that. Right. Like I said, maybe some type of discount. They may have something worked out with them. I don't know because, again, not close with that process. But I would assume that you would just be able to say, oh, I'm a season ticket holder in Philly and go into Brazil and get a ticket. But like I said, maybe a discount.
Like a week 5 or 6. I don't think it should have been like the very first game.
If you're going to have to play on a Friday night, I would prefer it to be the first game, to be 100% honest with you, because I'd rather get it over with, get the long week, and then go into the season rather than we play Sunday, then we got to turn around and play in week 5 Friday night. So if it's going to be in Brazil, it's going to be a Friday night game. I would prefer it be week 1. Me personally, just thinking about the team, and, we got a couple of guys that we don't know if they can stay healthy, so they might need the extra days to recover. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'd rather not play it Friday night at all. But if we're going to have to play Friday night, let's do it week 1.
That's going to be weird.
I mean, apparently it's going to be weird. It won't be us, thankfully, but every year. Because, if they do it 1 year, that means they got to keep doing it. So,
yeah, it's going to be weird.
Yeah, it's going to take some interesting time management there because I have a show on Friday nights. So thank you, NFL.
That fool said Still stupid.
Unc said, if you go to Brazil, don't drink the water.
Oh man.
All I'm gonna say to Unc is, you wild. You know you wild. It's not anything new, and we're gonna take a commercial break. You wild, Unc.
Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commander's Gridiron Report. You want your commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commander's Gridiron Report. Every Monday at 3:05 p.m. Eastern, 2:05 p.m. Central. Exclusively on the Sertoba Media YouTube channel. Music by J. Cool.
Where my soldiers, right side. Commanders.
Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kermit the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. On YouTube and where you can find all podcasts. Rams fans all around the world.
It's a beautiful thing to be a Rams fan right now. Stafford's back. We will see about Cup. And running back Kerryon Williams to return.
Lend me your ears, or should I say lend Playmaker your ears, as he breaks down week by week everything in the Los Angeles Rams canon.
Number 99, Aaron Donald. Can't wait for 2029 to come to know that you are going in the Hall of Fame, and it should be first ballot, no questions asked.
Join the Playmaker as he breaks down everything Los Angeles Rams style in Ramily Talk on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel and where you can find podcasts.
All right, good people. So we are back from our first commercial break. And, always more things to talk about. It's the Eagles, so we always got something to talk about. So the next thing I'd like to broach is we have draft needs questions. Let's start with the offensive line. So, Diva, on the offensive line, we know that we have one spot that is definitely should be at least a competition. Like, we have a guy that should be taking up the position, right? But no guarantees. I mean, this happens all the time. You look, you say, oh, this guy's next, and then somebody else kind of breaks out and takes that position. And, of course, I'm talking about at center. Right now, our starting center is Cam Jurgens. He was brought in. He was drafted to be the center. That's what was wanted from Jason Kelce. Jason Kelce was like, this is the guy I need to have when I'm done. Take over. We had Landon Dickerson, who was drafted the year before, who was also drafted to be the center of the future, but he did so well at left guard. They were just like, let's leave him over and get somebody else. Of course, we got Tyler Steen as of now, the starting right guard. Lane Johnson's there. Jordan Mailata just got the raise. He's going to be there. So of those guys that are there, is there someone that you feel like we may want to go out and address in the draft, a backup for them or a guy that may challenge them and could possibly take their starting position?
So I'm looking at the roster now, ESPN. They don't even have a backup for Cam Jurgens at all.
Well, they do on our lads. I don't like ESPN because it doesn't show the full roster before cuts. But they have a backup. Lacita Smith is the backup for Cam Jurgens. Right
Okay,
now.
so here they got him for the backup for Tyler Steen.
Yeah, Brett Toth is Tyler Steen's backup.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And then they have Denarian Kennard as the third. Um, Cam Jurgens still needs. I think we still need to draft somebody because I know he was hurt last year. He got hurt a few times. Um, I think possibly right tackle. Lane. Somebody needs to. We need to back up for Lane because Lane has been hurt as well. Um, I definitely think that we need a solid tight end for Dallas Goddard. Because I don't feel like the two backups he have are. Mm-mm. Um, and we definitely need a good backup for running back because listen, I'm not a Gainwell fan by no means, and I don't want Jalen Hurts running that ball all the time. So I feel like on that side of the ball, we definitely need a running back. Definitely need another center because I mean, if Cam Jurgens gets hurt, the next guy got to come in, and if he get hurt, we still need a backup. And Lane Johnson, right tackle position. Oh, and the tight end position.
I definitely think we need another tackle, a versatile guy, whether we draft him or whether we, get him in free agency or after cut day, whatever. But I definitely think we need another player on the tackle position. I'm gonna say the other positions for our later topic, but I definitely think we do need that. Center, it would never hurt to have. I like Hennessy because Hennessy, even though he's listed as the backup guard, he is
For
also a
Landon
center. Yeah, he's
Mhm.
also a center. So he could be like a backup for both positions. The only thing with that is you've got to have another good guard backup on the other side that can play either guard in case something happens and two of them go down.
Right.
Because we haven't had a lot of injuries, thankfully, since Jason Peters on the offensive line. And that's another reason why we've been really good because we just haven't had a lot of injuries. We had guys who, even if they were injured, they played, or they just haven't sustained lots of injuries that were stopping them from being in games. And that's a big thing too, because it's hard to have a guy come in that hasn't been a starter and you put him on the line and expect him to play. So that's another good one. Now we also have the defense. So defensive line. So on the defensive line, we are going to the 3-4. So everyone watching, just consider that essentially we're going to keep probably 7, maybe 8 linemen, and some of them may be guys that can play some linebacker as well, which is where I think guys like Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat, maybe Nolan Smith, if he gets a chance and can, contribute this year, then maybe guys that can play a little bit on the line too. Maybe not as much Nolan Smith, but definitely Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat. Maybe guys that can also kind of be versatile and be a backup like defensive end, if it's needed, or a defensive, or play a few snaps at tackle just to give a different look. So wishful thinking probably, but I think we're going to keep probably like 7 or 8 defensive linemen. Of course, the starters right now are Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter. The backups for Milton Williams is Moro Ojomo. We drafted him last year. He did get some playing time, but not a lot. Then the backup nose tackle is PJ Mustipher, who we got as a restricted free agent from New Orleans. And then behind Jalen Carter at defensive tackle, we have Marlon Tupeluto, who looked good in limited snaps last year. So, Diva, what do you think about this defensive line? Do you think we need to go out and try to get a couple more pieces, maybe replace some of these guys that we have? You feel pretty good with what we have, or are you just looking for more depth?
I'm looking for more depth. I don't think that. I think we need more depth on the end because that line it takes a lot. So I think we need a lot more depth. That way we can constantly, like we did year before last, switch guys out so they're fresh. They're not in there 2 or 3 quarters. I think it's very important because that's, as you see, that's how Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis got worn down because they had to play so much. So I think that if you always have depth, because you never know who's going to get hurt, it's important to have depth. That way, first of all, they don't never know who coming in, what they going to bring. So it also, mixes up the mind of the offensive line on that end. And then just having fresh bodies in all the time also keeps your main players healthy for a long period of time, and it helps them not be tired out. So, me, I'm always looking for depth, because I think that the way that we played the defense year before last, where we had so much depth and we could always just switch guys in and out each play, or 2 or 3 different plays, it was somebody different. We had a few injuries, but we did keep a lot of people healthy than we did last year, because we were able to just keep switching them out every 2 or 3 different plays. You had somebody new in there. So I like the way that we played the defense year before last. I think it's important to always have depth.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Fangio's philosophy is on that, with this team, because I think a lot of that last year was philosophy. Obviously, that's why a lot of guys didn't play, because they had this thing where let's play the same guys too much, right? And I don't know who that came from, but I will say whoever it came from, don't ever let them make the decision again, because they put a lot of guys like Davis, Carter, like a lot of these guys, they played too many snaps last year. You want guys to stay fresh. You want guys to be able to move in and out of your lineup. You got to do a better job. You can't have them playing the same guys, just run them in the ground. And then you talk about, oh, this guy's not in shape, that guy's not in shape. It's not that. It's that you're trying to compare them to a year where there was that depth. But see, we talk about this all the time when we get into the conversation about depth, Diva. The other part of that is, where does that depth come from? Because if we're going to keep 7, 8 guys on the defensive line, then somebody else has got to get cut back, right? We can't have 6, 7 wide receivers. We probably got to take a receiver out. We may have to get someone that can play DB and be a punt returner or kick returner, right? Because you're only going to get those 53 slots. So it's how you play that out. So that's going to be the big question for me, is going to be, as we go through and we start to see more depth charts, what are we keeping? What are we not? Because that's the game that I'm concerned with Howie and with Vic Fangio, and apparently Silly Sirianni is still going to have some say so, even if it's just verbally. I know you're rolling your eyes. I would have said it differently, but can't today. But yeah, it's exciting time, because we're around that cusp of like hope. Like right now, we believe we can get anybody, we can do anything, right? Because the season hasn't started. The draft is a couple of weeks away, but it's not tonight. So, or not this week. So you have time to kind of, I think we should get this person. I think we should get that person. I think we should get this person. And that's going to happen, but it's going to happen in the future. So we're going to take another commercial break. When we return, what we're going to talk about is the Eagles have 8 draft picks. What we're going to talk about is what player or what position we think the Eagles should take with those 8 picks. We're going to go through all the different picks, right? We're not going to pick a player. We're going to do that. We're going to talk about players next week. But this week, we're going to talk about position. So, if you think whatever you think we should take at those different positions. So, good people, hang in there with us. We'll be right back.
This is Greg, and you're watching Shady Sports Network. Tune in, hit that like button.
You might wonder, what do these guys do? Player signing announcements. I never in a million years thought you would actually come on to break this news. So without further ado, go ahead and tell everybody what happened today.
Yeah, man. I just had to work out with the Cincinnati Bengals. Finding me right out.
Without further ado, I'd like to announce that, I'll be taking my talents to Salina Liberty.
This just in, the Major League of Football is reportedly collapsing, unable to pay hotel room bills, with players being kicked out of their rooms and hotel managers asking them to leave voluntarily without issue.
Whether it's the men's college game,
The way that this season has been going, Yeah, anything is possible.
The women's college game.
And how passionate Angel Reese was at that press conference. They got their mojo now.
The WNBA.
AJ Wilson-Brown stood at 1 and 2, followed by Brittany Griner, Aaliyah Boston, Jackie Young.
Or the NBA.
The Lakers had a 0.8 chance of winning. And then what happened in the fourth quarter? LeBron James by himself outdid the Clippers.
You will get any and all of the information right at your fingertips or your earlobes. Join the Playmaker as he breaks down all things basketball in Shooting Lights Out on the Playmakers.
Chilling.
Cool McCain.
You thought you wanted to go through against Chad Gable, but you didn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Chad Gable would take everything that Gunther's done and bury it.
The Playmaker.
It was on site. AJ Styles walked out there seeing LA like, oh, okay, then LA Knight hopped out the car, let's go.
Break down everything in TNA, AEW, and all of the WWE programming. Join these two kings, monarchs of wrestling, live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on the Play Caller Sports Talk YouTube channel.
All right, good people, we've returned. So, yeah, got picks. We need to figure out who we're going to take with these picks. So let me get back up. I had this up a minute ago, y'all, and then I started going down a rabbit hole. So we get the picks back up. Exactly which we have. Like I said, I know it was 8 of them. Let me pull that back up here for a minute. So while I'm doing that first pick, I know what it is. Round 1, pick 22. Diva, with that pick, what do you think the Eagles should draft? What position?
Maybe an OT.
Okay. So
yeah.
With that pick, I'm going to go, I would like a linebacker. If there's one that's value good enough for pick 22, I would like to get a linebacker here. The reason I'd like to get a linebacker here is because that gives us a guy that we can control for the 5 years, a very solid player, and also someone that can learn, because we do have a couple of guys who are 1-year rentals at this point at the linebacker position. They may stay, they may go, but if we can get another guy in that can learn with them, I think that would be a really great coup for us. The other way I could see us going in round 1 is another defensive back, either a safety or a corner, because again, same thing, especially corner. We've got some guys who get a little bit up there in age. We've got some other guys who've shown that they're pretty good, but are they fringe starters that may just need to be the number 2s, or are they number 1s? So that's kind of, where I would say the 2 ways I would want to go with the first round pick 22. All right. The second pick we have is round 2, pick 50, and that's from New Orleans. So I think I know what position you're going to say here and who you're going to say next week as well. But what do you think we should do with the second round pick, Diva?
So you probably think I think we should grab a CB here.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I think.
This is where I would grab the lineman, but we actually kind of pretty much almost reverse here. This is where I would grab the lineman, and the reason I say that is we should still be able to get probably a first-round talent who dropped and a guy who has some versatility. I believe every year you should always draft at least one offensive and one defensive lineman, even if you have 3 guys set. I believe you should always draft, offensive and defensive line, and not too late in the draft, unless a guy you feel like is just really going to fall. All right. So that's that second pick 50. So also in round 2, 3 picks later, our own pick 53. What do you think we should take here?
Maybe um maybe an edge or a wide receiver.
I'm gonna go wide receiver here. I think with 2 picks already down, this is a great place to try to get a guy who could be possibly our number 3. Maybe not right away. He may need to learn routes and different concepts and things because it depends on how complicated Kellen Moore's defense is going to be for slot wide receivers. But I think this may be a good position to grab a wide receiver in. Also, we have guys like Devontae Parker, Paris Campbell, but again, 1-year rentals pretty much. So we can get a guy who can maybe be that third receiver and maybe not just play in the slot, right? Because for now, at least, Devontae Smith is our slot receiver, and AJ Brown is White is the left wide receiver, and then the right wide receiver is Devontae Parker. So as of now, excuse me, I said that backwards. The left wide receiver is Devontae Parker, and AJ Brown is the right wide receiver now. Just so used to AJ being on the left for us. So they got Smitty as the slot right now, and this could be a huge season for him out of the slot. Because if you play Smitty in the slot and he's being covered by linebackers and safeties who don't cover as much, third corners, this could be a real mismatch. Now, what I will say is whoever we grab, I hope that they get into what we were promised 2 years ago, which is versatility on the offense with the wide receivers. So whoever we draft, whoever ends up being the third corner, wide receiver, I want them to be a guy that can play multiple positions on the line, learn multiple positions. So that way you can be more valuable. We can move you around in this offense, which allows us to move everybody else around.
Right.
All right. So our next pick is in round 4, pick 120. So big gap between our second round pick and our next pick because we don't have third round picks this year. So, Diva?
I would take a tight end on this one.
And also, this is the pick that we get from Pittsburgh in the Kenny Pickett trade. This is probably defensive lineman for me. I feel like we need to get a guy in the mid rounds that can be versatile, that maybe can learn to play line and tackle, defensive nose tackle, and just a regular defensive lineman. If he could be a guy that also could play, what would be considered in the 3-4 as just the regular end, because you got an end, you got a tackle, a nose tackle, and a defensive tackle. So if he can play all 3 of those positions, it would be great. If he can play at least 2, that's a huge benefit as well. All right, so then our pick after that is 41 picks later in round 5. And this pick is from Tampa Bay. What would you draft there?
I would say defensive tackle.
Okay. I'm going to go running back here because I think in most drafts you can get a big power guy that's just going to essentially be a short yardage, change of pace back. I think this is a good place to get a guy like that. Also, hopefully if we do draft a running back here, we get a guy that can put Gainwell in the position he's supposed to be, which is third as a pass catcher and the little shifty guy. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but that's what I hope. I don't really want him, but we know he's there.
I don't know what they're doing, team period.
Yeah. All right, so our next pick is also in round 5, 10 picks later at pick 171. What would you like to pick here?
This is probably where I would pick a LB.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would take a chance on the corner here. And the reason I would is we got back-to-back picks. So we could take a risk on the corner here, and then no one else is going to pick before we pick again, because we're also picking round 5, pick 172. So what would you take with this pick?
I would probably take an edge.
All right. So with this pick, I think I would take whatever we didn't take. Let's see what happened. Did I take it? I would probably take a chance on another defensive lineman here. Just, it never hurts to grab you a couple and see what you get out of them. It's back-to-back picks, so, got 2 defensive positions there. And then our final pick, round 6, pick 210. Who you got there?
I'll probably take a offensive lineman on that one.
And see, this is where I would go with a tight end. And the reason I would wait to the 6th round is because it's not a guy that we need to be our guy in the next couple of years, but just a guy we need to come in that can block and catch. Doesn't have to be great at either one, but he can develop it. At least he can come in and be willing to work and learn how to be good at whichever one he's not good at. If he's a great blocker, but he needs to work on catches, cool. If he's really good at catching, but he needs to work on blocking, we can work on that too. But I think we need a guy that, later round, good value, that may have slipped because of something happened, but not something with injuries, because we got enough injured guys. But that would be where I would probably say, as of today, I would pick a tight end. I guarantee you, will we actually pick players that we want in these rounds next week?
No.
It's probably not going to be the same picks for me, but that's what it feels like for me right now. All right.
What up, DV?
So a couple more commercials, guys. Also, oh yeah, I didn't see DV pop in there. What's good, DV? DV in the building. Glad to have you, man. So a couple of commercials. Then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the last thing in the draft. This one, I know Diva's gonna like.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition, dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court. Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, go yourself again. Jason Whitlock.
Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze car.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crown they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As he takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific time zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying, but this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
All right, good people. So we're rocking back. So a couple more things to talk about. The main thing here, this is the one that I know Diva will probably have some comments about. So we kind of talked about possible trade moves that the Eagles could make. But do you think Howie is going to pull off a draft day trade? And if so, who do you think it'll be that he would target during the draft?
Who I think he would target during the draft?
Yes.
I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. I think he's probably going to try to target a wide receiver, honestly. That's what I think.
I was thinking that. But, what I actually ended up with. So this is a crazy idea that might work. So we talk about wanting Bradbury gone, right? So what if we're able to flip Bradbury into a backup running back? So not someone's top running back, but like a good solid number 2 back. Maybe we can flip Bradbury for that and then designate it as a post-June 1st trade so that the cap hit would be less on us for the trade. There's got to be somebody out there that would be willing to take Bradbury for their backup running back. Just a fantasy type scenario. But I think it would be really great if it was something that would come to pass. And then my last thing for the night, if you have anything else after this, feel free to drop it. But my last thing for the night, let's say, for the sake of argument, the offense all works under the head coach. Defense is fine under Vic Fangio. Dom's got the taser for Nick. So when he comes out and starts wilding, just taser him up real quick and he's gone. Like a cattle prod type thing. Just go back in the office. But seriously, defense is working well. Offense is working well. Special teams as good as it was last year, maybe even better. If everything works out well, what do you see as the ceiling and the floor? And no, the ceiling is not the roof. What do you see as the ceiling and the floor for the performance of the Philadelphia Eagles next year? And of course, this is pre-draft. You had no draft, so this is pre-end of free agency, but just based on what we've done so far.
I mean, I expect the first few games to be a little rocky because we all have to get on one accord on offense and defense and with the coaches. But I mean, I always expect the utmost from Philadelphia Eagles, point blank, period. But yeah, we'll just have to see. But I mean, I think we're gonna have a decent season. I don't see why we wouldn't unless we just have another disaster on the offense. But I feel like we should do pretty good.
All right, so I have our ceiling as the Super Bowl, but I have our bottom as a wild card team because I think we've done enough and we've got what I would dare someone to argue a top 10 quarterback in the league, top 10 running back, a top 5 wide receiver duo, a top 10 tight end. And I'm naming a bunch of offense purposefully. The reason why I'm naming a bunch of offense, one of, if not the best offensive lines. There are a few changes to it, but just overall speaking, one of the best offensive lines. So I think what we're going to be able to get from this team is a floor of making the playoffs as a wild card, ceiling of going to the Super Bowl. I won't say winning the Super Bowl because the last time I ran out and started doing that in the offseason, it didn't work out. So we ain't going to do that. But we can get there. And then once you get there, you got to see who you're playing. Because if you're playing the Chiefs, then it's 11-14, and that's a little difficult to overcome. But I think we have a very good possibility to be a playoff team at least and to go to the Super Bowl. Diva, any last thoughts from you for the evening?
Nah, fly Eagles fly. Ready for this draft to see what Howie gonna jack up, but hopefully he do good. So we'll see.
I feel that. Only other thing I'll add for me is just simply, man, draft's coming. We're gonna be previewing it. So make sure you're ready for that. We'll split it up. So we'll preview players we want next week on offense and defense. And in the week after, which will be right before the draft, we'll talk about who we think we can take at what positions. So this coming week, we'll talk about offense, what players we want, defense, what players we want. So it'll take up a good amount of time because we'll have an opportunity to talk about that. Following week, we'll get into who we want to draft where. So, who we want to draft at first pick, second pick, kind of like we did with positions this week, but we'll actually have players. And it's not necessarily that a guy may be there, because we can have a guy going in the first round and he goes in the 5th round. We could have a guy going in the 7th round and he ends up going in the 2nd round. All it takes is one team to feel like you should be somewhere else. But we're going to get it together for you. We're going to give you some good things to talk about, some good topics, some good information on the Philadelphia Eagles rolling into the draft. And next week, hopefully I'll have my voice back. So for Wyatt, who was not able to make it with us tonight, for Diva, make sure you tell 2 friends for your enemies. Just because they don't like you doesn't mean they won't like us. And always remember, it's never where you start. It's always where you end.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly. And we'll
#we elite. Holla.